U.S. Ambassador to Israel Dan Shapiro says the United States is concerned and perplexed by Israel's strategy on settlements. Moroccan authorities say they detained a Belgian national of Moroccan descent directly linked to the Paris attacks. And world #1 tennis player Novak Djokovic downplays match fixing in tennis, but admits he was offered $200,000 to lose a match. Good evening. You're watching I-24 News here with the hour's headlines. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Dan Shapiro voiced nearly unprecedented criticism against Israel's presence in the West Bank today. Speaking at the Institute for National Security Studies conference in Tel Aviv, Shapiro praised progress made in the investigation into the West Bank arson attack in the village of Duma, but said Israeli authorities inadequately respond to violence by Israelis living in the area.
We are concerned and perplexed by Israel's strategy on settlements. This government and previous Israeli governments have repeatedly expressed their support for a negotiated two-state solution. Yet separation will become more and more difficult if Israeli plans to continue to expand the footprint of settlements. Settler outposts are being legalized despite earlier pledges to the United States not to do so, while routine administrative demolition of Palestinian structures continues. We also believe Israel must develop stronger, more credible responses to questions about the rule of law in the West Bank. Too many attacks on Palestinians, lack of vigorous investigation or response by Israeli authorities, too much vigilantism goes unchecked, and at times there seem to be two standards of adherence to the rule of law, one for Israelis and another for Palestinians. What is Israel's plan for resolving the conflict, for remaining a Jewish and democratic state? And if it judges a political solution to be out of reach for the time being, then what is its plan for managing and stabilizing the conflict in the short and medium term?
Israeli officials, meanwhile, rejected Ambassador Shapiro's remarks. Our diplomatic correspondent Tal Shalev filed this report from the INSS conference.
Dan Shapiro starts with defending the Iran deal and with praising the Israel-U.S. bilateral cooperation, but then he moves on to attack the Israeli government's policy or lack of strategy regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Dan Shapiro says that the U.S. is concerned and perplexed by the Israeli strategy vis-a-vis the settlement. He also criticizes the Israeli rule of law in the West Bank. He says that at times it seems that Israel adheres to two different standards of rules of law in the West Bank, one towards Israelis and the other one towards the Palestinians. And he then moves on to direct questions, tough questions, to the Israeli government. He asks, what are your plans to resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? How do you intend to help us, the U.S., defend Israel in the international community and in the international arena? And how do you plan to move forward with and leave the two-state solution viable?
In the latest from the Paris attacks, Moroccan authorities say they arrested a Belgian national of Moroccan origin directly linked to the Paris shootings and bombings in November that killed 130 people. The Interior Ministry gave only the suspect's initials in Arabic and said he fought in Syria with the al-Nusra Front before joining the Islamic State. He was trained to handle different weapons and guerrilla tactics and left Syria through Turkey, Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands, from where he traveled to Morocco. Earlier, we spoke to I-24 News senior analyst from Paris, Christian Malard.
It's national from Morocco, is Belgium, born in Morocco, originally from an area in the suburbs of this very big city of Casablanca, which is an area where we have a lot of poor people socially, and where we have young people educated in a very strange way by some Muslim fundamentalist area, because it's so poor that sometimes they are so unemployed. All these youngsters go in the hands of the Muslim fundamentalist. And it happens that this man, we don't have only the initials, was trained in Syria, was belonging to the group of al-Nusra, which was the Al-Qaeda in Syria, and then he reached the ranks of the Islamic State. But the thing which is very interesting to notice is that he is one of the more Belgian people, terrorists of Moroccan origins, coming from this area of Molenbeek, which proves that once more the services, the secret services in France and Belgium have really badly communicated or collaborated in the inquiry about the attack.
Meanwhile, authorities in Germany have arrested a 26-year-old Algerian man on suspicion of committing a sexual assault in Cologne during New Year's Eve celebrations. Prosecutors in the city said the unidentified asylum seeker was arrested at a refugee home in the nearby town of Kirpen over the weekend. He's the first person to be held on sexual offense-related charges after a string of assaults in the city that triggered a debate about integration in Germany. A spokesman for the prosecutor's office said 497 women reported sexual assault, including 3 rapes. The oil price rebounded after falling to a 14-year low below $28 a barrel as OPEC predicts crude will mount a recovery this year. Brent crude rebounded to $29.65 a barrel. The international benchmark fell as low as $27.67 a barrel, its lowest since January 2002, as investors fear the lifting of Western sanctions on Iran could worsen the oversupply problem. The Islamic Republic on Monday issued an order to increase production by 500,000 barrels per day. And in the latest from sports, world number 1 Novak Djokovic has claimed he was once, quote, indirectly offered $200,000 to lose a first-round match in the St. Petersburg Open in Russia, but said he does not believe match fixing is an issue at the top of the sport. BBC News on Monday said it could reveal secret files exposing evidence of widespread match fixing at the top level of world tennis, including at Wimbledon. I-24 News reporter Tamara Ziv has more.
Tennis authorities vigorously denied suppressing match-fixing claims on Monday after a bombshell report alleging widespread corruption cast a shadow over the start of the Australian Open. The BBC and BuzzFeed reported that a core group of 16 players who reached the top 50 in the past decade, including Grand Slam title winners, had repeatedly aroused suspicion but never faced action. The report said the Tennis Integrity Unit, set up to police illegal activities in the sport, either failed to act on information that identified suspicious behaviour amongst players or to impose any sanctions. All of the players, including winners of Grand Slam titles, were allowed to continue competing, while 8 were playing in the Australian Open, the media reports added. The claims, citing a leaked cache of secret files, broke as the year's first Grand Slam got underway in Melbourne and prompted a swift response from tennis officials.
The Tennis Integrity Unit and the tennis authorities absolutely reject any suggestion that evidence of match fixing has been suppressed for any reason or isn't being thoroughly investigated. And while the BBC and BuzzFeed reports mainly refer to events from about 10 years ago, we will investigate any new information, and we always do.
The report also created a stir among players at the tennis championships at Melbourne Park, with some expressing surprise at the allegations.
Not that I'm aware of. When I'm playing, I can only answer for me. I play very hard, and every player that I play seems to play hard. And I think that, we go, as an athlete, I do everything I can to be not only great, but, historic. And, if that's going on, I don't know about it. I'm kind of sometimes in a little bit of a bubble.
Tennis officials have fought a long-running battle with match fixing as well as spot fixing, which is where individual sets are thrown to manipulate live betting odds.
And in other world news, the number of international tourists rose by 4.4% worldwide in 2015 to hit a record 1.18 billion, even as terrorism has weighed on numbers in some areas. This according to the United Nations World Tourism Organization. Tourist arrivals were up to 5% in Europe, Asia Pacific, and the Americas, but fell 8% in North America. It is the 6th consecutive year of above-average growth in global tourism since the 2009 economic crisis, which forced the crash-strapped masses to stay at home. And that's all the time we have. Join us again at the top of the hour for more headlines. Thank you for watching.